Yeah, yeah, Ken, that's been my thing. That's what a lot of my analysis derives from, especially the last few weeks. Um, Most definitely this week was, the high open interest at the 35 strike price. It was the same last week too, uh, at 35s and 34s. My last video talked about too, 40s is where it's all at this week. So I'm curious to see if they'll let it run up if they're not really worried about the 4 or 5 thousand contracts at 35 this week. More worried about the 14,040. So, uh, Eric, my thoughts on crypto are I have some that I've been holding for a long time, and I don't really plan on looking at them for years. That's it. That's it. The moment I found out they were opening up option chains and ETFs for cryptos to be shorted and shit, and to have calls and puts put, they're turning crypto into, um, fucking like the legitimate stock market now. And I don't like that. I mean, it's currency. It's currency that you're trading, and they're making it derivatives and shit. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all because it literally means at any fucking time, big money can now control it, which they did when I was heavily into it early this year. Um, I had quite a bit of different cryptos. I was huge into it, and I saw the crash coming. And then, I mean, I would look at, 200 to 300 cryptos every day to look at the charts. And then I started noticing a lot of the same shit we saw with the ETFs I put into videos for GameStop, AMC, and those ETFs. And I started noticing that, saw that first in May before the crash. I saw all this very weird movements. I started seeing cryptos that no one had ever heard of, I'd never heard of, and they were fucking inexpensive, like nothing. They were dirt cheap. There was no way to even really figure out how to access them. I had never seen them on any fucking swap exchanges or anything like that. No, no fucking DXs had them. I couldn't find them anywhere, but they were tripling and quadrupling in price on time frames. There was patterns in those too. Like one of them, I remember every day between like 7:45 and 8:15, somewhere in between there would be a 60-second fucking run up to where the thing quadrupled in value and then immediately went down. And then there would be a couple others, the next day or something, that they all did the same shit. Then that's when I started seeing that. I got the fuck out. I pulled the majority of my holdings, and that's when I really started focusing more on the stock market instead. And then the crypto crash happened, and I was like, man, I don't even want to fuck with it. Like, honestly, I'm just going to hold what I have, and hopefully in a couple years, it's worth a lot more than it is now. Um, I don't even trust the whole Bitcoin run up and shit right now. A lot of that, what happened was the shorting of it, the new ETFs that came out, and these motherfuckers shorted the shit out of it, and then bought a bunch of it when it was cheap, and then returned fucking shorts in it and pumped the price back up. Like, there's charts that don't match up, that don't say that this is a turnaround at all. They don't suggest that this is a bunch of people buying into the crypto because they're interested and they want it. It literally just suggests that this shit had the shit shorted out of it, and all they did was return it, and that's why it's so inflated and pumped up. Um, and plus, we don't know what the SEC is going to do with crypto yet as a whole. So I have crypto, but I don't fucking fuck with it right now. What I have, and I'm just holding it. So, but those questions answered. Um, what was I fucking? Now I forgot what I was talking. You sons of bitches. Now I forgot what I was getting into. Oh yeah, the analyst talking about a move coming. I'm not going to disagree with them. I can't disagree with them because I read patterns. That's how you play markets now. You read patterns. You can draw all the fucking lines you want. You can talk about all this cup and handle bullshit and whatnot. But those guys have what? Been wrong every fucking time. These guys have been drawing W's, stretching this chart out and drawing W's since here. They drew this shit into a big fucking W. And what happened? It crashed. And then they drew this into a fucking big W here. And then it went up a little bit here. And then they split it and was like, oh, this is a double bottom, and then a double bottom, fucking George W. They just be making shit up now. Making up technical analysis shit. TA is not how you play the stock market anymore, because you're not sitting down and trading against a bunch of other human beings anymore that are using the same fucking chart analysis that you are. So they're making the same moves as you. You are fucking trading against a computer program, and artificial intelligence, hedge funds, big money, all those people use computer systems. They use AI programs. That's what they use. Pattern recognition learning software. That's what they use. So if you're looking at a chart every day, when it's done, you're not gonna know shit about what's going on. Nothing. The motherfucking thing, it doesn't trade extremely off base from how people trade, but it consistently learns, and you're not going to be able to draw this. Like, everyone was convinced. Everyone that does TA was 100% convinced. Okay, we're done. We got some sell off, blah blah blah. Now we're about to fucking fly. Ooh, we got this bull pennant here, and we're coming to the tip of Phineas Ferb's nose. We're about to break up through, and what the fuck happened? Computer system said, I know these bitches think that I'm about to fucking fly up here. Curveball. Yaw. Yeah, fuck you. That's what they do. So if you're not looking for patterns in the market, you are going to fail. And I'm just letting you know that right now. If you're a day trader, or you plan on doing this for a long time, if you're trading and not investing, like if you're doing long-term investments, whatever, no big deal, do your thing. But if you're trading and you don't have any form of pattern recognition or anything, you're probably going to lose a lot of money. Probably. I'm not saying you are. I mean, there are some stocks, like smaller stocks and shit, that still trade on the fundamentals of normal TA that big money's not involved in, and they don't have algorithmic trading programs running the show there. So some of those still work. Some of those you'll find real cup and handles and shit. That shit used to crack me up when I'd watch these guys, and they, like, back here, you'd have cup and handles that really looked like cup and handles. And then once we got into here and shit, they'd have these motherfucking cracked cups. And, and then double handles. And they'd be like, look at this cup and handle here. I know it's got a chip in it and a 2-grip handle, but it's a cup and handle. And then that whole fucking double, quad, bottle, boodle, whatever they keep calling this shit every time they stretch that shit out and turn it into a W. Yeah, so it's all about pattern recognition. This is why everybody's been so wrong. And the further this has gone along, every bit of their TA has been more and more wrong. It's because you can't chart this in the old fundamental ways. You can't. You're fucking playing this game against a computer. And you're using fucking strategies and tactics from the beginning of the market, damn near. At least since the inception of computer charting, since you had software to be able to draw lines on a stock. But people talking about an upcoming move, I don't disagree with them based on the history. Just because I have the ability to recognize patterns. Probably, nowhere near as fast as a computer can or anything, but I still have the ability to recognize them. SPY is one of the ones that I started noticing. May kind of fucked me up a bit. I was going to get into this in May when it was hitting the all-time highs, and then I was just super convinced it was going to dip. And it did. It fucking dipped right when it hit that point when I was thinking about getting in, and it did a little George W. But it veered slightly from the pattern it was following, because every time around the 18th, this was a holiday, so from the 15th to the 19th, but the 15th, that weekend before the 18th, it dipped, and then it has a little dip in the middle, but then every time you come around to the 18th, it's on a downswing. It's another dip. Every single time you come around there to the 18th again, dip, because this is a bunch of big money in the S&P 500, a lot of it, and it's all a bunch of algorithmic trading programs that are trading this motherfucker, and they're all basically trading the same way. And then this was the only one that kind of went astray. On the 10th, it had a huge dip. But then again on the 18th, it still dipped down. And then you have these little fucking dips in the middle of the month or 2 weeks later. But then you come back around to the 18th again, dip. And then little break in the middle there, back around to the 18th again. Well, 18th was a Sunday, but the 19th, a fucking dip. Little tiny break in the middle, back around to the 18th and 19th, a dip. These are patterns. This is program trading. You can't draw a fucking TA chart line on this and map it. You can't. You're going to be wrong every fucking time. Because that shit would have you thinking that this is going to break up and continue to break up in these weird moves, but this is literally just a computer slowly working on an incline, just a slow incline, to where if rich people put a bunch of money into contracts and shit back here, by this time this year, those contracts are worth a lot of fucking money. A lot. And these are most likely sell-offs and recontracting. Doing it on a monthly basis, most likely. That's just what it would appear to me that they're doing. So either way, the pattern recognition is a key when you want to trade in this type of market. And based on history, when you look at the history of the patterns, now that I've been really going back and looking at AMC as a whole, I mean, I already have my theory on all the shorts that were here. This had a bit of a run-up, squeeze, whatever you want to call it, and then they took a bunch more shorts out here, so they're net neutral, and then throughout this time frame, they'll return some of these shorts while still being profitable here, and return some of these shorts as well, but then return or take new short positions out. It's just been like a fucking rinse and repeat. That's what this has been. That's what history dictates this is doing. That these guys are just rinsing and repeating this fucking short strategy, and it's probably going to continue this trend. I don't see why not. It's ran up, base is higher. And then, every 2 months or so, it has a nice little move, nice little higher move, and then it bases even higher than that. And you have a nice little move again, then base is higher, and then a bit of a parabolic move. And this is basically following that fucking trend. Like, this shit went from, fucking, what was it, $5 up to over 20, and then the next day lost about 3/4 of its value, and then the next day went back up to like $16 just outside of it, and then the next day closed down to 13, and then the next day dropped back down to like the 5 area. $6 was the low, closed at 7, and then trailed back down to 5, and then it stayed there for a while. Then trended up, based higher, trended up, based in, it was still just basing in that fucking like $8 to $10 range. This did the same fucking thing. Went up to 70, 72 the next day, lost about half its value, but closed a little higher. And the next day it had to move back up to 57, but ended up closing at 47. And then the next day went back up to 59. Closed at 55, and the next day went back up to 60, closed at 55, but dropped down to 52. So, I mean, that's kind of moved in the same fashion overall. The pattern it's there. It's setting itself up for another move. It looks like it is. The fact that it's based at this $30 to $40 range, like kind of in the lower mid 30s, it's really based at and held for quite some time. Suggests that it's just history repeating itself in this stock, and it's probably going to have another move upward. Whether it's going to be a big move or one of these little moves is still yet to be seen. But when if you look at the MACD too and the RSI and shit, the MACD especially, I mean, it suggests that we're heading for another move. There has been, some little areas back here where we've had consecutive green days, but those consecutive green days were followed by some little moves too. Little moves up. Most people would think that with all this red that happened for 2 months, that once this thing turns around, which it looks like it's doing, it should be heading in an upward trend for quite some time, for some weeks to come. It should be. But we'll see. See what the fuck happens. Because who knows, man? Who knows what the fuck they're going to do? Uh, Maybe it just gets shit on. But even looking at the MACD and the signal line, I mean, the MACD has crossed over the signal line here, and it's poised for a turnaround. It looks like it's getting ready to start gapping up, and once it heads over the histogram, as history has shown you, once it gets over the histogram, it's poised for some sort of move. Whether it's little or whether it's big, looking at the patterns, it would suggest that, yeah, we are looking like we're heading towards a higher base or possibly another big move. Nobody knows, though. Nobody fucking knows. It's just recognizing patterns. Um, this is why I really only use the MACD and the RSI, just because it's the only fucking charting that matters when you're fucking with a computer. When you're fucking with a computer program, this thing recognizes patterns and it charts patterns in a actually like a useful fucking way. Even though you can't guarantee it, because like I said here, this would have said, hey, it's getting ready to turn around. It's going to cross the MACD, or the MACD is going to cross the signal line, and we're about to make a move, and then it said no. No, you're not. But this has already crossed over. Like, it's crossed over the signal line. So it's heading upward. All patterns indicate this is due for another move, looking at the history of the stock. Is it going to be a big move? Maybe not. If we're just strictly looking at patterns and basing it off this, then it would say that that big move like this, the next big one, isn't going to be coming until December or January, but there should be 2 nice moves, maybe even 3, in between that time frame to take us to a higher price and a higher base. Doesn't mean that's going to happen. That's just people that are actually recognizing the patterns and looking at it from that perspective. I see where analysts are getting that from. I can see that. That makes sense to me. So that's probably why a lot of them are saying we're due for a big move, or at least an upward move. I don't know how big. But again, everything's different. Everything is different here. Everything has changed here. And the stock market as a whole, and the way things are being reported, margin requirements, everything, all that shit is changing. So no one knows what's going to happen. All we can do is look at the patterns and see what they say. We haven't seen this for 2 months. 2 months. We haven't seen consecutive green days on the year-to-date chart. And we ain't had fucking 4 green days in a row in God knows how long. And then met with 2 red and a green. That hasn't happened in a while. So again, everything just signals a turnaround. That's all. All the patterns, everything that we're looking at on this chart and these 2 indicators here, well, mainly this indicator, but it just signals the turnarounds here, and it should be heading upward to a new higher base. I personally think we're going to stair step into the 40s if we do see a big move, and maybe base there, and then in a week or 2, maybe longer, who knows, maybe end up back into the 50s. And again, that's assuming that this trend here continues and this actually ends up crossing over the histogram. So that's all just speculation, all just looking at the line and seeing where it could potentially go. So we got to wait and see. But I'm not saying those analysts are wrong. I'm not saying they're right, but I am saying that they're on the right track with utilizing the patterns and the history of the stock over time. GME has done the same fucking thing, just in case anyone's wondering. Big move, based higher, like a month or so later, another nice move. Actually, technically 2 months later, just about, another nice move, based higher, and then in June also, another nice move, and then it's just stayed relatively flat. Like there hasn't really been a lot going on there. So these 2 do waver a bit in how they react. I believe AMC just has more people in it. There's more movement in it. There's more actual outstanding shares. So, GME very well may be primed for a big move too. It's been a long time since it's seen, some long consecutive green days, but I mean, it had a couple back here, just a couple, and then went red again for a little while. So a lot of people just seem to think that nothing's going to happen until GME goes. Like GME is going to be the one that goes, and then everything's going to go with it. But again, I'm not looking for a squeeze in this anymore. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for patterns, basing, another moves up, opportunities to make money, and where are they at. Like that's all I'm focused on. And if I keep focusing on that and I'm in already money making positions, then hopefully one day I just wake up and boom, the shit has squeezed and cool, yay for me. Uh, but as it sits right now, AMC is just a play right now that, I have my shares in Fidelity that are my forever shares that are just going to sit there. But what I'm doing with AMC now is, trading fucking options and trying to get some of my money back that was ripped away from me in my options contract. So that's what I'm doing. Never mind. Thought I saw something in GME, but no, I did not. But yeah, that hopefully that answers your question as to why there are some analysts right now predicting a nice move. Some are saying a big move. I don't fucking know. I just sees what I sees, and I try to explain it to you all as best I can. You decide what to do with it from there. The end.